the March 23rd, 2022 meeting of the Chautauqua County Legislature. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Mr. Vankowski?
Here. That brings us to the privilege of the floor. The first privilege of the floor. Members of the public may comment on any subject relating to any local law, resolution, or motion appearing on the agenda. Please introduce yourself.
Hi, good evening. My name is Ida Golden, and I'm a Chautauqua County resident. I'm speaking on behalf of Western New York Freedom Seekers and our 400-plus members. I am here to speak on two resolutions on the agenda: the Nacho Grant funding for the Wastewater Surveillance and the Fellows Grant, which allows the state to hire and manage their Department of Health employees in our county. Before I speak to those resolutions, I want to thank the legislators who read my emails, returned emails, and those on both sides of the aisle who took time to have a conversation with me. I appreciate you. I want you to know that. This is not a party line issue. This is a basic rights issue that we all should concern ourselves with. When in history has it been okay for a governor to go around the state legislature to amend health regulations? Only in recent history, starting with Cuomo and continuing with Hochul. Because of this, we must set fail-safes at our county level. Regulations are treated the same as the law, with fines and penalties. Law is for legislators to write, not unelected officials. The Nacho Grant. I am asking you to vote no. I see that you have amended it, and it does not go far enough. Saying they can test in one or more sites is not enough. It needs to be specific. We need restrictions in place as safeguards. We not only make regulations We not only make regulations when rights are infringed, but to prevent it in the first place. We are asking for clear determination of what is allowed. It is your duty and obligation as legislators to ensure there be no infringement on the rights of the citizens of Chautauqua County. Recently in the Post-Journal, the Health Department stated that they do not need the money, that they will continue regardless. However, they failed to mention that the State Department of Health has a larger wastewater surveillance program. The power of the unelected health officials need to be constrained to protect our basic freedoms. The Fellows Program is presented as benign and an asset. My observation in watching committee meetings is that the department heads are not forthcoming, and they all, with all the facts, or at times, do not know all the details. Resource information should be provided beforehand. A full presentation with detailed information should be presented when they come before the committee. Under no circumstances should our legislators consider any resolution if the department heads do not even know the full details. Our elected legislators need to demand the respect that they deserve. Stop rubber stamping free COVID money, because nothing is free and all have consequences. I am asking you to vote no on the Fellows Program. As stated in the committee meetings, they do not have all the details. As you know, the devil is in the details. Don't approve something without full understanding. New York State Public Health Corp's fellowship program hires and manages the fellows. It is not my view that the state-employed Board of Health workers would be nefarious people. I understand they will be people from our community, although employed by the state. When it comes down to it, though, when they are faced with enforcing mandates or losing their job, they will enforce mandates. They will become the overreaching arm of the governor. As our rights are infringed upon, we will hear, "Just doing my job." An example of how good people react to the threat of job loss is seen more recently when employees were coerced into taking the shot or losing their jobs. I know many people who didn't want the shot but felt they had no alternative because how would they feed their families? I am asking you for you to protect our rights. Set fail-safe regulations. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to address the first privilege of the floor?
Hi, I'm Ed Zaleski. I live in Panama, and
I didn't plan on speaking tonight, but I have a few thoughts I'd like to express. I read the rules and regulations that this new fellows program, if that gets started, I guess that's part of the $2 million, the state can hire up to, 1,000 new people through the health department. And eventually, this water inspection will start with the big, wastewater treatment things in our county. But if you look at the fine print, with these new people being hired to help enforce from the state health department back down through the Chautauqua County Health Department, it gives the health department a lot more regulatory power, and one of the things will eventually work down to local neighborhoods. And if you read the fine print, if they detect water coming from your area or from your house, eventually they'll have the manpower to do it. They can quarantine you, the state through the health department, this health department can quarantine you in your own house. And they can enforce this through the sheriff's department. It gives the sheriff's department that authority to make sure you don't violate the quarantine. Is that how we want to live? Think about it. That's too much authority. We have a bloated government in New York to begin with, and now we're going to maybe give the health department more power? That's crazy. Just consider that, please. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Reading portions of the New York Codes, Rules, and Regulations regarding isolation and quarantine procedures amendments. Pursuant to the authority vested in the Public Health and Health Planning Council and the Commissioner of Health by Sections 225, 576, 2803 of the Public Health Law, Section 2.2 of Title 10, Health of the Official Compilation of Codes, Rules, Regulations of the State of New York is amended. Section 2.6 is repealed and a new Section 2.6 is added. A new Section 2.13 is added. Section 2.25. A case shall mean a person who has been diagnosed or is likely to have as having a particular disease or condition. The diagnosis may be based solely on clinical judgment, signs and symptoms combined with known exposure, based on the best evidence Isolation available. Shall mean the physical separation and confinement of an individual or a group of individuals who are infected or reasonably determined by the State Commissioner of Health or local health authority to be infected with a highly contagious disease or organism for such time as will prevent or limit the transmission of that disease. Quarantine shall mean the physical separation and confinement of an individual or groups of individuals who are reasonably determined by the State Commissioner of Health or local health authority. Enforcement of an isolation or quarantine order through the use or possible use of law enforcement personnel.
Good evening, Chair and legislators. I'm here on behalf of the Chautauqua County Board of Health. I'm currently serving as president. My name is Lillian Ney. I live at 88 Gordon Street in Jamestown. I've never addressed the legislature before. I've been here as a guest when Jamestown Community College was regionalized many years ago. That was my first visit. Now, this, I guess, is my second, I think. I'm representing the Board of Health, so I understand that I might have 5 minutes. I'm going to try to quickly say everything I need to say. I'm an 8-year member of the Jamestown City Council. I was president of the council, and I know what it means to be an elected official. I know that it's important and critical to represent your constituents, those who voted for you. The other side of the coin, of course, is to help support, and lead. So I think many times they contradict each other, but it's really important that we keep that in mind. I'm here to support the resolution regarding the wastewater treatment process, the project. And I want to reassure you as to the fact that this is a reasonable thing to do. As you know, the grant money has already been approved, but it's now a matter of the accounting pieces to that. And that, I think, as far as I understand, needs your approval. And I honestly want you to know that I totally understand, and I think we understand, as we discussed at our last meeting, that public health system has been defunded gradually through the years nationally, and it has led to kind of a weakening of the response to, for example, the pandemic. And I think that that really has led to confusion, guidelines that are very confusing, and maybe poor follow-through and chaos in the whole system. And I think that that lack of organization and structure because of the defunding has led many people to not trust. And, for example, not trust the government and what the government does. And I think that's really very, very much of a problem. And I think that it's extremely important that we understand the implications of infectious diseases. As you know, the wastewater treatment plant that Dr. Erlandson has talked about, that's kind of an anonymous way of understanding an early warning sign that maybe a variant of COVID or maybe the re-emergence of polio, for example. That's an early warning sign that we need to perk up and pay attention to it. When I was the medical director of WCA Hospital and the vice president of medical affairs, I would have loved to have had, if I was there now, an early warning system so that the hospital could get its staffing in place and so that the EMTs would know that there might be trouble coming down the line in maybe 2, 3, 4 weeks hence. And many folks that are associated with the healthcare system dealing with the pandemic would have an early warning system and be able to react appropriately. You may or may not know, if you're members of Rotary, that we thought polio was totally eradicated in the world, and now there's a resurgence, an epidemic in Africa, primarily emanating from Malawi. So, you know, things are not stable everywhere, and we need this early warning system very badly. So I certainly hope that you will understand the importance of going along with continuing this particular project. The Department of Health, our board feels, has done an exemplary performance during this pandemic. They've been collaborative and they've been supportive. And I think they need to be thanked for their hard work and their resourcefulness. And I appreciate that you've been listening to me. I hope you understand that this resolution is not a threat to any Chautauqua County resident. Thank you so much.
Good evening. My name is Tom Erlandson, and I live at 26 Valley View Drive in Frewsburg, town of Carroll. I am speaking this evening as a member of the County Board of Health, and my comments relate to tabled Resolution 6722 before you to establish an account for funding in support of wastewater surveillance program to analyze sewage effluent for the presence of the virus causing COVID-19. By way of personal background, I have a PhD in zoology, and I am retired from teaching that subject at Jamestown Community College. My responsibilities there included teaching bacteriology laboratories, and I am more than passingly familiar with disease-causing microorganisms. I have also served 3 terms as a member of this legislature. In addition, I have a significant personal history with sewage treatment, beginning in 1960 when I worked summers for the New York State Department of Health. That was before our county health department was established in the mid-1960s. I have also served as a member of the Administrative Board of the South and Center Chautauqua Lake Sewer Districts since 1985. With regard to the methods involved in the current wastewater surveillance program, I have observed that process twice. Once in November of 2020, when it was being used for dormitories at Alfred State University, and also recently, 2 weeks ago at the Jamestown Wastewater Treatment Plant. The process involves taking samples of the wastewater as it enters the plant through a very large diameter pipe. That pipe carries wastewater from the entire service area, which in Jamestown's case includes Jamestown, Faulkner, and parts of Ellicott, Kyantone, and Busti. I understand that some individuals have expressed concern that this process will violate their personal privacy. I can assure you that there is no way that this collection and analysis process can or will do that. It is not possible. The process identifies the presence of the virus, not where it comes from. In contrast, as Christine Schuyler has stated, this wastewater surveillance program is an early warning system for managing COVID-19 as we transition from a pandemic to an endemic phase. Public health surveillance is not new. Consider leprosy during biblical times, the Black Death plague of the 14th century, and the flu pandemic of a century ago. We humans have been collecting, analyzing, and interpreting public health data for a long time, and those steps are important for successful public health practice, which involves monitoring trends and outbreaks and identifying new pathogens. Public health is extremely important, and it is essential for the current and future public health of the citizens of Chautauqua County that outbreaks and identification of pathogens continues.
Dr. Ellison, you've exceeded your 3 minutes. Please wrap it up.
I will. I have one more sentence.
Okay.
I urge you to utilize the grant which you have already accepted by establishing an account for its use. Thank you.
Legislator Nebel.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, as Ms. Rankin mentioned, testing is only going to be done at the waste treatment plants. So with the resolved clause that has been added to amend the resolution, it now addresses and protects the individual privacy concerns that have been raised by members of the general public. So as this resolution is amended, I can support the resolution.
I make a motion to amend the resolution.
Okay, we have a proposed amendment to the resolution that has been shared with all the legislators. And that's the motion that Legislator Harmon has just made, is that we adopt the proposed amendment. And I have a second to that by Legislator Vanstrom, and I will read the proposed amendment. The proposed amendment adds a final resolved clause to the resolution stating, resolved that pursuant to the pilot program work plan, collection of wastewater samples will be limited to the headworks of one or more publicly owned treatment works in Chautauqua County, and the pilot program will be completed by July 31st, 2022, at which time a written final report will be generated to include a spreadsheet of all sample results and a description of collection and laboratory procedures. I believe that's the motion that you made, Legislator Harmon? Okay. Is there any discussion on the motion to amend Resolution 6722? Legislator Wilfong.
That report, will that be coming right to the legislature itself? When will the public get a chance to see that?
I don't know the answer to that.
July 31st. Isn't it?
We will get the report to the legislators sure as soon as it is available to the county.
Thank you.
I'm not sure if it'll come directly to us or not. That's why I was pausing.
Okay, no, that's fine.
Okay. Any other comments on the motion to amend? Hearing none. All those in favor of the motion to amend Resolution 67-22, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? The amendment is carried. Any other questions or comments on the resolution as amended? Hearing none. Christie, if you would be so good as to call the roll, please.
Mr. Bankowski?
Yes.
Mr. Davis?
No.
Mr. Gould?
Yeah.
Mr. Harmon?
Yes.
Mr. Hemmer?
Yeah.
Mr. Lawton?
Yes.
Mr. Muldowney?
Yes.
Mr. Nebel?
Yes.
Ms. Parker? Mr. Pavlock is absent. Mr. Penhall?
Yes.
Mr. Proctor?
Yes.
Ms. Rankin?
Yes.
Mr. Scudder?
No.
Mr. Torres?
Yes.
Ms. Vanstrom?
Yes.
Mr. Whitford?
Yes.
Mr. Wilfong?
Yes.
Chairman Chagnon?
Yes.
Sorry. There are 16 yeses and 2 nos.
The resolution is adopted. Thank you.
Can you repeat the part of the stuff where you said all about the things?
Okay, that brings us to announcements on the agenda. Are there any announcements from any legislators for the good of the order? Any announcements? Any announcements? Seeing none, hello, Legislator Gould.
At this time, Mr. Chairman, I would like to make a motion to adjourn.
Okay, we have a motion to adjourn and a second by Legislator Bankowski. There's no discussion on a motion to adjourn. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? We are adjourned.
Great job.